Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And Michelle, what is up, Michelle?
Hey, bro. Just chilling.
That's not Eileen. Sorry, I got her name up from yesterday.
Am I somebody else right now?
You're Eileen.
Oh,
Hi,
cool.
Eileen. Shout out to Eileen.
Hello, Eileen.
Okay, so, man, this is a lot going on. A lot of energies. That's actually why we wanted to get on here, because of the energies. I watched a video by Lori Lyatt this is so cool because, you know, you were just talking about right before we were going on the air, it's like a demasking or the emperor's new clothes, if you will. But
Yes.
Lori was talking, Lori Lyatt, her YouTube channel, she was talking about this, going through this sort of separation from herself, you know? And it paralleled what you're going to be talking about today, because you gave me like a little snippet of, you know, what you were dealing with. So I love
the
this.
symptom I had yesterday?
Yeah, sort of
Yeah.
like disconnecting. And I had a similar experience on one of my plant journeys where I totally forgot who Shane was, you know, and I was like one with Source with all these beautiful pastel colors. And, you know, you think you get to that point where you'd have questions, and not only did Shane dissolve away, all of Shane's questions dissolved away. Is that kind of how it was for you when you reached that point?
For a moment. Then
Yeah.
it was weird. I still kind of maintained this consciousness of like, what is actually happening and why?
Yeah.
But should I just get into what happened?
Well, let me mention the anxiety thing first, because if
Yeah, okay, cool.
people,
Okay,
especially if they're dealing with the anxiety, they might turn off the video pretty quick here. So, if you're dealing with anxiety, I've been hearing it from so many people. Also, the heart palpitations. I don't know if they're connected, and you know, I talked about having this overwhelming feeling of anxiety, and it was like what you would feel like a panic attack could build into something horrible or whatever, and I'd have to sit down and take some deep breaths. Sometimes it seemed like I just got them for no reason, maybe the Schumann or the cosmic energies we've talked about. Other times it was like I'd feel it and I realized that I was like in this thought pattern in my head, a negative thought pattern. It was like I was thinking out this conversation that might not even happen, right? And it was like kind of spiraling into this argument in my head. It wasn't even really happening.
You're talking to ghosts.
Right.
You're arguing with ghosts in your head. Yes.
So I got that feeling, and I was like, oh, whoa, I need to pull back. And then, so it kind of put me in check. It was like my little notification that, hey, you're not thinking positively here, right? So
Yeah.
So I'd had that, and then I got it the other day again, out of the clear blue for no reason. And I sat and meditated or whatever, but I've heard from a few of my kids and other people that I've talked to on emails and stuff. Some people view it as like a psychic attack, but it can feel...
No.
It can feel that way, and if you're thinking that way, it can make it actually worse, right?
Yes.
But if you kind of relax into your sovereignty and your divinity,
the
breathe
imagination
it.
takes over, and that's where we have to put the reins on.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I'm going to turn my video off because I knew this would happen.
Yeah, it's delayed a little bit.
There we go. Yeah. So I'm just going to turn the video off now, and hopefully won't have that problem. But I wanted to say hello to everybody, let you guys see my face, because it's been a few weeks, and I've had my birthday, turned the big 50.
Wow.
So, yeah. So good to say hi, but I'll just leave it audio from here on in.
Well, happy birthday, officially live. I told you on your birthday, but I was the first, wasn't I?
You were the first one. You were the first one.
It was so funny because I was about to go to bed, and it was like 11 something. I was like, oh, I wanted to tell Michelle her happy birthday before I went to bed. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's after midnight for her. So
yes.
So then
perfect.
I just told you and then headed to bed or whatever. But yeah, so you had actually had something that happened on your birthday. You want to back up to that first?
Yeah. Well, it was, I always expect a lot of energy to come in for my birthday. And I certainly wasn't disappointed this year. And it kicked in about a couple days before. I can usually start to feel about the 10th. My actual birthday is on the 15th, and I'll feel it start to build. But it really did, like physical symptom wise, about 2 days before, and it was a lot of root activation actually, and a lot of twitching, muscle spasms, and perineal, like almost like your eye twitching, the eye twitching we get, but in the perineal. So it's very odd. Mom has been getting the same symptom as well, so it's unusual for her too, something she hasn't experienced before, and so
you
it
think it's
doesn't
like a
seem to
root
be.
activation or something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It really is, and it's just like when your face is twitching constantly, but it's all down in the root, all through. It's like percolating. So, anyways, I did feel it very physically start to come in through the root about 2 days prior. But the morning of my birthday, so I like to sleep in, Shane. I stay up really late. My sleeping patterns are different than a normal person. I'm up very late, and I sleep in the morning. But I was woken up just before 8 o'clock, and with the most pressure I've ever experienced to my crown, and very, very localized. I'd say, like the size of a silver dollar, like a little bigger than a quarter, right? About the size of a, silver dollar sort of feeling, like a pole, like a shaft. Now we've talked about this, and this is, I've had this feeling before, and but never this strong. It woke me up from my sleep, and there was no headache. It wasn't throbbing. It was very localized, like a pole in my head. And I even, half asleep, reached up and was touching the top of my head to see if I could feel anything, because it was so physical, and it wasn't comfortable either. It was uncomfortable. It was, I've never felt it this strongly before. And yeah, so I woke up, and I looked at the time, and it was exactly 8 o'clock. I had been lying there and experiencing it for a few moments, kind of coming awake, and then, trying to figure out what was going on. And I looked at the clock, and it was 8 o'clock. So I realized later, it eased up, and it went away. And it lasted probably about 15 minutes. When I did wake up a couple hours later, the top of my head was sore, but it wasn't what I would call a headache, and the severe localized pressure, it was gone. But I realized that I was born at 7:54 a.m. in the morning. So it literally was exactly like my time of birth when it happened. And I did feel that parallel was important to this. And sort of, when realizing that, started to kind of get the downloads and sort of the visual metaphors that start to drop into place. And they were showing me, like, again, sort of the inside workings of the clock, and like the cog, and turning, and it timing, and like a cycle coming around and locking sort of into place. Like the 12 coming all the way back around to, the 12 o'clock kind of thing.
That's funny, because I've been getting the top of the hour synchronicities.
The top of the hour.
Yep.
It was that. And it was like almost like an audible click to it. Like seeing that, that last cog just click over that minute, and that strike of 12, and it being time. And it being a download relevant for the next cycle.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it was really kind of a visual thing, and it was kind of like, kind of, you're right in confirming this kind of impression that you were being downloaded, or not so much download, but like something that's always there, that it's just it gets turned on,
Right. Activated.
activated, like, or I get a sense of like both, that it was kind of a bit of a both. Like you get it, the program's there, but there's downloads that turn it on, kind of thing. I don't know, and it was very visual. I can really see like the brass of the wheel of the cog,
Right.
and like and the audible click of it, and yeah. So that was my impression with it, and it kept showing like the number, the 50, the 50,
Yeah.
and almost like showing it like chunky, like the birthday when they make the birthday candles.
Oh yeah,
out
like
of
3D.
out of
Right.
the numbers,
Yeah.
and it was like
Chunky. Yeah.
highlighting this importance to the
Right.
number. So yeah, and then what's come up lately too is the 5 numbers, or just exploring the numbers in my own archetype. There's been a lot of downloads that have been going on, as far as numbers and archetypal energy over the last couple weeks, I would say. So yeah.
Have you had any stomach pains, like random stomach pains? Not really sustained for long periods of time, but maybe they come and go, and not really related to digested. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is, but it doesn't feel like it.
That's definitely something that I have experienced, like, as symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
but thankfully that seems to have eased up for me at this point. But there was definitely time, like, when the energy, like, going through the root, processing through, hit the digestive system, and it'd be like like all of a sudden having your intestines wrung out, like twisted.
Oh, really? Okay, so for me,
oh,
it's like maybe somebody punched me in my stomach, and I'm like feeling the after effects of it. So it's not like the actual punch, but it's just like, almost like you got the wind knocked out of you feeling, accompanied with a little bit of pain, soreness, But it doesn't really stick around very long. Like I think it maybe 20 minutes or something. But then I've noticed it, come back and go away. But it could be something going on with me. So I just like to ask.
I do, yeah. I do really think I think it's, different for all of us, and especially with the digestive system. I think there's a lot of issues we hold in different ways through the digestive, and and how we're digesting ideas, and how, like, it's so symbolic.
Yeah.
And something, so, and how we react to digesting.
Yeah.
This. It can be so different too, and we can experience that in different ways at different times. So sometimes it could feel like a punch in the gut, or the after effects of a punch in the gut, and sometimes it could feel like having your guts wrung out,
Right.
and sometimes it's going to feel like loose bowels.
Right.
Sometimes it's going to feel like nausea.
Right.
Yeah, different things, but it really can do a number on the gut as it works through. Sometimes too, I find it really, like, when it's on the up, like when it's really high, because not all bad stuff. Like sometimes when this energy comes in and like it hits hard, it's like manic in a way, right? It's like almost too much on the upside. You're too floaty, you're too loose, you're too right. You're like gonna float away. Like the last couple of days has been a good example of that. Because it feels like butterflies in your stomach.
Right.
Almost can feel like nervous anxiety, sort of. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and you feel so lighty, floaty. So it's kind of a other end of the scale, in how we can experience it. So, and I find, that's, it can lead to some nausea too, that sort of comes and goes. It's almost like a motion sickness, nausea.
Okay,
And
so
the
I've gotten
butterflies,
that.
it's like, ooh,
Like,
am I going places?
I've definitely gotten that, but it's been a different thing than the stomach pain that I was just talking about. It's just all of a sudden you just get a wave of nausea, or you feel nauseated.
Yeah, it's been really.
It doesn't last long though.
No, it's like a wave.
Hmm.
It really is. It comes in and you're like whoop, you know.
Right. Usually I
Um,
drink water when that happens. I'm like, oh, maybe I just need to drink some water. And that,
oh,
so
I
I
think
don't know. Maybe that
yeah,
helps.
that's a really good idea
Yeah.
for any of this. Yeah. Um, I definitely feel the effects of uh, needing the water,
Hmm.
and it having a difference in how well you can surf the waves of energy. It
Hmm.
really helps you stay afloat.
Yeah.
Really does.
Yeah. And
Whether you're
energize your water.
bathing in it,
Yeah.
whether you're drinking in it, or putting your energy into it,
Hmm.
it really helps ease the flow of the process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm. So, um what else could I should share the thing that I had happen yesterday, because we are talking about these like floaty
Absolutely.
sensations,
Hmm.
right? And so really woozy starting yesterday, and the KP index went really into the red. Um, so I'm noticing the animals a little wacky. I'm also observation, a lot of static electricity.
Mm.
Yesterday, just a note, Mom made a comment on it as well this morning, and I noticed it yesterday. So I kind of find that interesting too. But anyways, really woozy last couple of days. In the afternoon, middle of the afternoon, I'd already been up, bopping around, doing some things. I think I just gone down and had something to eat. Made myself something to eat. Came back upstairs, and I just did a in my room, and I just did like a stretch that I do several times a day, which is just linking my hands behind my back, behind my hips, and kind of putting my shoulders back, and stretching my neck back, and opening up the chest area, and just breathing, and give myself a little crack, and it did, and all of a sudden it was like whoosh, um, and similar to like I've been to the chiropractor. I mean, the first few times I went to a chiropractor, and being really locked up when he finally opened up some stuff that had been seized up for a while, the circulation and everything that goes through you is something else, and it is quite a high, right?
Hmm.
And you can feel woozy or fainty, and even fall over, so you kind of have to be careful. um this was like 10 times stronger than that, or what I've ever experienced, and it came on so suddenly, and it was like I had been heavily drugged in bliss, um where I couldn't even like hold myself up, like kind of like it was like thinking I was going to faint, but it was way more than that. And
Hmm.
I forgot like everything. I forgot everything. All I could do was just kind of go, ooh, I just got to lay down somewhere. And I just kind of, it felt like completely slow motion,
Hmm.
this slow collapse over to my bed. And I was like sort of half on my bed, the head on the bed beside the dogs, and the other half of me sort of on the floor. I don't want to say I fell. It was like this really slow-mo collapse. And everything was just like really kind of staticky, blurry, kind of like if you're going to faint, but
Right.
it was way more than that. Like I couldn't recall what happened. I couldn't recall what had happened, like why I was feeling like this. Like I didn't know.
Hmm.
Uh, I couldn't remember that I had just like kind of cracked my back a bit and got a head rush. I didn't remember that happened. I was like, am I drugged? Who? Like what happened? Where am I? I had no. It was just like whoa. I but like super blissed out. Whoa. Um, like I really thought I was on some kind of crazy drug. I couldn't get a sense of anything, and what had happened to me, other than I must be drugged to be feeling like this.
Right.
Yeah. and I slowly, like, it took a while. It felt like several minutes. But I have no idea how long it really took. And I was slowly kind of able to gather myself up enough to put my butt up on the bed from the floor and slowly sit up. And I just kind of sat there like, oh, this is just the most curious thing. And and just like, okay, well, let's just wait and see if it comes back to me.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Because I have no idea what's going on right now. And I just kind of patiently sat there and waited. It was just like all blissed out, and then just kind of like a fog, it just lifted.
Mm.
And I just sat there. I'm like, oh. And all of a sudden it came back to me that I was standing in the middle of I had been standing in the middle of my room, and all I did was like just stretch, like I do all the time. I stretched, and then this just hit me.
When you stretch, had you just stood up?
No, I had been moving around.
Oh, okay.
I had something to eat, like the same thing I eat every day. I came upstairs, into my room and shut the door and just stood there and just did a stretch.
And it's
I
like
wasn't
that stretch
out of breath. I wasn't
sort of unblocked you or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I do it all the time.
Right.
Like I said, I've been to the chiropractor. I've had like major adjustments done and had this, huge flood of, euphoria come in. But even that didn't compare to this.
Right.
This was like, I've never been on heroin, but I wonder if this is what it's like. Really, that's how drugged I felt like I was.
Wow.
And just out of nowhere, and then just cleared. It felt like it lasted maybe 5 minutes.
And then once it cleared, then you realized what happened?
Sense of, yeah, and it just kind of, it was like all of a sudden it just cleared. Like all of a sudden everything just came back into focus. It was like everything was out of focus.
Wow.
And it was like I was me, and I was very like super happy and content, like felt great. I wasn't in a rush. I wasn't in a panic.
Right.
I wasn't like, oh my God, what's happening to me? It wasn't like that.
You're really relaxed about it.
I was really relaxed. And then it just kind of lifted. And then I'm just sitting there just kind of like stunned, like, oh, like what? Okay. Yeah, I just stretched, but that doesn't really explain what just happened. I do that every day. I don't, that doesn't really.
All right. Well, that's why I'd asked if you just stood up, because sometimes I'll get a head rush.
Yes.
And then stretch, and then I'm kind of having a head rush. So it wasn't that for sure. So this was
sort of, it came on, but like that, but there was something definitely different about it. I've had head rushes before. Right. I've fainted before. I've had chiropractic adjustments before. There was something different about the state of mind and the consciousness that was going on, and how I felt in this state. And there was something really blissful about it too. Like, I mean, it felt really, really, really good.
It's almost the flip side of the anxiety we were talking about, which Misty's chiming in saying she's had lots of anxiety and dizziness lately, and and wooziness, which you had also mentioned. Yeah.
Definitely.
So this is normal, you guys, and I think the drinking lots of water and then the deep conscious breaths, they always
slow down. Yeah,
it just totally fixes it for me every time. I haven't had a time that a few deep breaths didn't clear it up for me. And even my son, when he woke up having one, I had mentioned a few weeks back, and he said, I just took a few deep breaths and it just went away. So he naturally did the right thing. I think we do naturally do the right thing, usually.
Yeah. I think you just really, when you feel that shakiness, it almost feels shaky, like you're being off balance, or the floorboards you're standing on are being shook.
Right, but it's like you're alarmed because, you're like, is something wrong with my body? Do I need to call an ambulance? What's going on? But if you realize it's this external thing and we're all feeling it, it helps you Because even
Yeah.
I'm trying to protect them. Somebody's boss just went in to get some medication, and he said you just need to take some time off work because he was explaining about this anxiety he's feeling, right? And I'm like, dude, it's
Yeah.
the energies, you know what I mean? But
Yeah. Yeah.
not that there's not pressures in life and stuff, but you add that on top of it, and it can be overwhelming for people. And people don't slow down to take those deep breaths. So, and then,
Hmm.
half the people, they try to get them to wear masks. So that only exacerbates the whole anxiety feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm getting pictures and reminders on kind of some of the downloads
Yeah.
that I've been getting that kind of tie in with this. And one of the dreams I had lately was trying to explain to me, it was really weird. Um, like that situations are vehicles. Um, had that like situations like what's going on, what may seem like a chaotic situation, right, or something comes in to shift and change, it's something you have to deal with or work with, and but they're vehicles, they're not just situations, they're vehicles, energetic vehicles, to propel you through time.
Hmm.
And how we drive that vehicle or drive the situation energetically ourselves, um, shapes how bumpy that ride is.
Hmm.
Like it almost showed me, like, you get being in, one, it was like showing me this situation and comparing it to like a physical thing, a vehicle. And then when you understand it, when you understand the archetype of the situation and what it's calling for, and understand yourself, you go with the flow, you understand what's driving it, and you have a smooth ride, you get to your destination more quickly. But when you're in this resistance to the situation, when you're resisting the vehicle
Trying to put the
you're
brakes on while you're
driving,
going.
it's all of a sudden, it's this gelato, you're getting swung around, like it shows me the wheels getting all out of proportion, and in this like jalopy clunky um ride, you're getting
Hmm.
thrown all about and it feels out of control, right? And
Hmm.
it's
It's
going
like
to
when you
get you
drive with a
there
foot
either
on the
way. But
brake and the gas, and then you're kind of jerking
well,
around, you know?
when you're resisting it, and
Yeah.
you don't understand the mechanics, when you don't understand the mechanics, the archetypal energy, or the laws of the archetype at play in the situation, um, then you you become in like resistance to it.
Hmm.
Everything has a natural law. Every archetype basically has, um how do I explain
Like
this?
attributes.
Equations.
Hmm.
Equations. um this is how it all transfers over to the geometry, to the numbers, how they all connect with the archetypes, with the symbols,
Hmm.
um because they have a natural law, right? Like a one, when you add one to one, you get two,
Right.
right? Um and so it just becomes more complex. But so situations are all that, they're equations, and they're vehicles, for our process. So when we don't understand the mathematics of the equation, well, why we want to add and subtract and multiply this over here, and it's like um uh, a person, thinks the car's broke, they just kick the tires as opposed to fixing the problem. They don't understand the mechanics, they don't understand why the car's not working. um you know Someone who just lifts up the trunk and just looks at the engine but doesn't even know what they're looking at, and just kicks the tire, and in frustration, and
Right.
doesn't get anywhere. Yeah, they're sorry, I hope I'm not rambling.
No, no,
it's
no.
it's a lot of images that kind of come in all at once, and these are a lot of the downloads that I've been getting, like, kind of rapidly.
Right. It is.
And
It's like it's kind of like a change in your state of mind or your perception, and realizing when the problems, like you called them situations, when the situations arise, if we default to seeing them as a problem rather than an
A vehicle.
opportunity, yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna take us somewhere. Like, why is this
Yes.
coming? What am I gonna learn from this? And how is this gonna catalyze my journey? How is this gonna propel me?
Right.
And then when you're trying to hang on, like you're saying, if it's trying to propel you and you're like, grabbing at everything while you're trying to move, then you are
Yeah.
putting the brakes on,
Well, you
causing a
when you
bumpy
can,
ride.
yeah, when you can look at it, as an archetypal energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It like it allows you. It's what alchemy is, because it's a basic elemental understanding that when I apply this element to this element, it's going to give me this result, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we understand archetypal energies and situations, it's like understanding the equation,
Mm-hmm.
or having, I know that X, plus Y equals Z, then you can input what it is that you need to apply. You can apply the appropriate element and harmonics, or fuel to the vehicle to help run you along smoother, as opposed to resisting the whole process and not even looking at the equation.
Mm-hmm.
um Anyways, I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So
And I like that because we do see it in the gematria and the geometry and even the what do you call the sand on the plate that creates the seismology, or I can't remember the word for it, but yeah, it's
right,
just all of the things revealing themselves. Like Tesla said, it's all frequency and vibration and sound.
that's right. But it's also like it's also tied to like archetypes and labels, and
Mm-hmm.
they have a frequency. And that frequency is like a set pattern. That's the sacred geometry. Like when you see the frequency played in the sound, and it creates a pattern. Or when you see the water experiments, right,
Mm-hmm.
where they label hope or love and put it on water, and then they crystallize it and look at it on a microscope, it creates a harmonized pattern, right,
Mm-hmm.
a geometric pattern. It's a formula.
Mm-hmm.
um and it applies to everything. It's not the When you apply the word hope to the water,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the word hope that you're applying. You're applying the archetype. You're applying the label of hope. You're applying the equation of hope to the element of water,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because how does it read? How does the water read the word on the label?
Right.
It doesn't. And it doesn't matter what language it is.
Mm-hmm.
No. So how does the water know, right?
It's the
Or the
intention.
intention,
Yeah.
right? So, and when we hold the energy of hope, we're holding the equation, the sacred geometry, the pattern, the archetype, the frequency, the numbers of
Mm-hmm.
hope,
Yeah.
right? And we admit that, and then that attracts magnetically hope
Mm-hmm.
to us, like that, a similar frequency. So it was really interesting. It was showing me, how do we how because I've been asking questions about how am I supposed to function in this matrix, and understanding that it's illusion. What does that really leave me with? And um you know how am I supposed to learn
Right.
from illusion, and what really is divine truth? What is really truth in this reality? What is truth?
Mm-hmm.
And and trying to figure that out. And I think it really does come, decoding this and decoding the archetypes do start to show you the truth. It runs through everything.
Oh yeah.
And
It's like the underlying code in the system
yeah.
begins to
So
emerge.
so I asked God, well, how is it we're supposed to know what to do?
Mm-hmm.
That's to get the out of this. And what I realized, what I was shown, is that what we do in life, like when we set goals and you
Mm-hmm.
want to lift yourself up and you want to accomplish something and be successful, you find a mentor. So the reason that works is because you're searching for the archetype that you want to embody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we do that. We do that, we think by matching their practices, by listening, but really ultimately what we are doing is not just these actions. What we are doing is taking into ourself an archetype, a frequency, a pattern, for what it is we want to create, what we want to embody within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what God planted here for us, um, the templates, the mentors,
Mm-hmm.
right, or the archetypes are Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
Buddha, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really like what we are doing, um with that. It's like a template,
Mm-hmm.
and an archetype. So we are searching to align ourselves with an archetypal frequency, right, to embody that energy. And that those templates, those archetypal templates, are purposely put here for us to be those mentors,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, we know these things, like we know these things as the keys to success, that have been written by people, but to know them on a mathematical level,
Mm-hmm. And even
right?
reaching the point now where we have science actually backing it up. How many people have done these rice or water experiments? And
That's right.
Dr. Emoto's work, where you can see these ice crystals forming very differently when good intentions are put into it. Now, think
Yeah.
about your family members, right? These bottles of water, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And, we want to send love to those bottles of water, even if they don't
Mm-hmm.
disagree with us. So it's almost rising above that whole thing, like if, if you're having a hard time with your significant other or something, and then you go to bed and you're kind of like, oh gosh, they annoy me. You're sending that to their water, right? Instead of thinking, you know what,
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I love this person or whatever. And then you just kind of let all that other stuff that doesn't matter go because you want to send love to their water. And that's going to make their crystals much more beautiful under the
Yes.
microscope, right?
Well, it's really important, I think, to become consciously aware
Mm-hmm.
of how we put people in roles, and we label, like, we naturally do it. We do it to ourselves. Like, we place these archetypes or labels,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, on on onto like everything, and they really are patterns. They're like geometric patterns, and they have laws of behavior and reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do that all the time, to ourselves and to situations and to others, and that's not a bad thing. It's a natural thing. It's just important that we realize and become aware, and then really start to strip away the unnecessary labels and archetypes, and realizing when we are putting them on ourselves and others, when um it's not really, to the benefit, when we're making assumptions or arguing with ghosts. Are you putting somebody's ghost in a role, and playing out an argument with them? You're putting them in a role, in an archetype, as an adversary for you, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
becoming aware of how we use that energetically, it can really strip away. And I think too, Shane and I have both been doing a little bit of research, over the last few weeks, from some information on a video you sent me, Shane, where it's really getting into looking at your own personal archetypal energy, a lot of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
um Based on your birthday and your numbers, and all kinds of stuff in your astrology, and kind of putting this whole picture together. And what you see, looking across all these different formats, you start to see patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And archetypal patterns, right? The alchemy, each of those elements has an archetypal story to it, right, Shane?
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
cause and effect,
And I
right?
just dropped a link in the chat, you guys, so if you want to
Oh,
go.
perfect. Yeah. And I think it's really great process for people to strip away, and the unnecessary labels, and the true archetypal patterns
Mm-hmm.
that you yourself were born with. and then you can really see the mathematics of it, and where you need to apply a little salt and where you need to add a little mercury.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it sounds unusual, but it really can help ease or oil, you know, the transitions and experience, and strip away and get to the truth of what archetypes do we know what we're born with, we know what we've been labeled with, but what archetypes do we truly want to embody?
Mm-hmm.
And really ask those questions of ourselves, and maybe that'll help us release the ones that don't serve us anymore, and also balance the ones that we were born with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then really make that decision to focus on what we do want to embody, and to really understand the mathematics and the energetics and the divine truth of how we do that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
amen.
But
And
yeah,
that's
you
all I
guys go
gotta
check
say
out
about that.
go check out that link, the Jovian Archive link, and then let's see. I want to make sure yeah, it's jovianarchive.com/get_your_chart. But I just put it in the chat, and it's free.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's other things you can probably pay for, but there's a lot that you get for free, and then if you want to support and get more, I know they have videos and things like that.
Well, the link, he also, there's I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet. The Great Architect videos he put out. There's a 1 and a 2. Again, I've watched the first one, the full thing, and I think that's amazing to explain a lot of what I have been saying. If you're curious about any of what I've been talking about, it's a real great initiation into just how this all works. It really gives you a framework to the geometry, and the ties in with the numbers and the architecture of this reality.
Right, you're actually talking about the YouTuber that I got the Jovian link from, and his YouTube channel is Decoding Your Reality, or Decode Your Reality.
Yes. Yeah. Really,
YouTube channel.
Really interesting stuff. Mm-hmm.
I love that though. Yeah, I think he sees he finds all these connections that are amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of information like that. But it's funny, you go down these rabbit holes and then just comes in from everywhere. So,
It's
so I've been
fun, though.
processing a lot of that. It was funny. We haven't done the show in a few weeks, and I talked a few weeks ago, and it was like, I do this because I just want to share experiences, and I haven't really felt like I had anything new to share, and really a lot of observations at this point in time. I just felt like I kind of wanted to keep to myself, because it's just such a crazy opinion piranha pit right now, and sometimes it's just good to be quiet, right? So, but I have been having a lot of these downloads, and some symptoms to talk about and everything. So I don't know if we'll be doing this every week again, but even once a month is maybe good to check in, and just looking to share the experience of it, and whether or not anybody else is having the same kind of thoughts or experiences. And
absolutely,
I hope you guys are doing well.
I even with myself, I've been like pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
There's just times that you have to go and take care of yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I just kind of go with the flow and wherever my intuition leads me. So I'm never too far though.
I don't much like talking for the sake of talking anymore. And boy, I used to do a lot of that. So I find I have less and less to say, and so I just wanted to feel like I had something to contribute.
Yeah, it's fun. You guys can come and hang out, and we can chat and share symptoms. That's pretty much the big thing I like to cover. Just when I heard
in the
that,
dreams.
In the dreams, and I heard that guy go to the doctor, and I was like, oh, man, for all the people that feel like they're alone with it, of course you're going to go to the doctor. You haven't felt those things before, and it's all of a sudden you get this panic attack feeling or extra anxiety, and then if you don't have a lot in the world to be anxious about, this was somebody that was responsible for a lot of things. So of course he just felt the pressure of his job and everything, but those energies coming in don't help it. You know what I mean?
No.
Especially when you're at a job that's working you, and you don't stop and take a breath, and you're having to wear a mask all day, and
Yeah.
you gotta
Yeah.
breathe.
Yeah.
Gotta breathe.
Whew.
It's good to breathe with that sigh of relief. And I do have that. I put that in the chat too, guys. But I've got that 6 or 7 minute meditation that um, you can use as like a guide for what that's what I don't use that actual meditation, but that's what I do periodically throughout the day, because just recentering, getting your breath, finding that
Yeah.
bliss that's always there. It's always inside, and reconnecting with that. Man, it just makes the day so much better. You
And it
rise
gets
above all
stronger and
this stuff.
stronger, and it's easier and easier to find it.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where it doesn't leave you.
Yep.
It really is. It's kind of just like the piano, Shane, where I just keep doing it every day, a little bit, a little
Right.
bit, and it just becomes more and more natural. And then it's just something that's just like with me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to search for it. And yeah, you just keep putting those drops in, those breaths in each day, and tune in till you find it, the glow, like the inner glow, that inner power, that core of you, and just be like, yeah, there it is. um and then move back out from there again,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll find that it does just get stronger and stronger. But with these waves, it is crazy. That's one thing I really noticed, like the upswell. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, whoo, I can, like, it's just so strong. It's like glowing out of me. It's like pushing out, bursting out, that energy, that centered energy.
Mm-hmm.
And but when it's on the downswell and it's heavy and everything else, boy, really do have to take a moment to you know let a lot of the back top talk, and or whatever it is, kind of just slip away and
Right.
just find it. So we
And
just got to keep trying.
right now, I recommend people taking that time. What I've been doing, like besides the meditation time, is just taking time to daydream and just, I don't know, just let my mind wander about stuff, right? And I've been like tapping into, one day I was waiting in the parking lot while my family was in shopping, and I was just sitting in the car looking around and looking at the shopping carts, and I started thinking like all of the pieces necessary to create this smart shopping cart return thing, and it could even like assist people when their cart's a little heavy,
Right.
or maybe follow them around in the store and then return them themselves, or during shopping season they'd all nest together and create a snake with their little light on it or whatever, and they'd pull back into the right. So I saw all this in like in under a minute, and I was like, holy cow. And then I Googled it, and they're just about to implement these smart
Release.
shopping carts in California at a Walmart or something. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I just totally, and it was like I didn't have to invent anything. It was like everything was already
Was already
invented.
there.
You just need to put the pieces together in this certain way. And when I thought of it, I'm like, there's no way somebody hasn't done this already.
Yeah.
Sure enough, there it is. And I did the same thing with cars driving themselves now. That's been something I've thought about my whole life. And finally, the whole thing was solved. And I won't get into it here, but there's no doubt that they're already working on it, because you don't have to invent anything.
Yeah, I think you really, when something comes into the collective consciousness, I think that's how we experience it. I think the more tapped in you are,
Mm-hmm.
and into the collective too, then you just get these knowings. That's what you'll have inventions come out like at the same time,
Yeah.
in
That's
different
what Cryon
continents.
says. He says it's in the field. And that's exactly
right.
how I see it. It's in the field, and you can tap
Yeah,
into that stuff. You can,
exactly.
yeah. And time's an illusion too, so you can tap into the field and see how things are playing out too. Maybe not
Yeah,
specifics, but energetically you can see, oh, this seems negative, but yes, I see this positive outcome from it. And
exactly.
you can dive into some of these things and see how this seems horrible, but wow, it's going to sure wake some people up. And so
That's
there's,
right. That's
yeah,
exactly what I was talking about, Shane.
yeah,
It's because you understand the equation.
mm-hmm,
You when you understand the alchemy, and you know the when I apply this
mm-hmm,
and apply this, you get this reaction, and it causes these events.
yeah,
Like it's, and just having that understanding allows you to go with the motion. Go with
Right.
the flow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know you're headed in the right direction. But when you're in it too much, man, you can feel like you're getting tossed in the wrong direction, and
That's right.
like, oh, things are getting worse, and you know, and it could be
Yeah.
perceived that way, you know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so
But
you guys got to keep a positive look on it, and just try this. You can go to all these external sources, but really the best source I found is going within, just taking a moment, taking these deep conscious breaths, and just let your higher team, give you the information you need. That's how I feel.
yeah, that's, you know what, that's all any of us can do. And we're all going to have different, observations and theories and perspectives of, what we come up with, the ideas that we come up with when we do that, and when we spend that time alone with ourselves, right? So
Yeah.
those are the conclusions I've been coming up with over the last couple of weeks, and seems to be the I'll just say the last thing. And the reason they use the metaphors,
Mm-hmm.
all the time, it's the same thing.
Right.
It's an equation. They're showing you the equation, the mathematics, the symbolic archetypal energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Dynamic. And so they use metaphors, and it is like downloading a template or an equation, so you understand the mathematics of a situation and an archetype. And that's why they use metaphors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an energy. Oh yeah.
It's an energy pattern or equation pattern.
Here's a great tip from Brian Parker. He says he puts stickers on the plasma water station, but hey, you could stick like a love sticker on the water cooler or something. Well, if you're the boss or anything. And then everybody goes and gets a drink and they think love, and they're all infusing the water with love. How nice is that? You know what? I wonder if you'd see a noticeable difference in your work team if you did that and everybody drank from the same love water. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that if you are really curious about that having a very real effect,
Mm-hmm.
it would be worthwhile exploring the original language. And the the original Hebrew, it really is it's a code. um those words and those symbols do have power. So um if you're really curious about that, using original language would have, I believe, even more power, because it's the word. Anyways, that's a whole other long story, but just something to think about. You could just put a heart sticker, but hey, if you really want to, get into that concept, then exploring the original language
Yeah.
would be good. I think that would just amp up the power and your understanding, and taking that knowledge in.
Yeah.
It's like really how we become alchemists.
Mm-hmm.
So, and architects.
Yeah. Key players. We're doing this. It's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, let me see if I can get my camera back. All right, you guys. Lots of love, light, and unity. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for being here with me, Michelle. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Nice
Peace.
to be here again. Peace.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.